Hello coders, this is what I hope to be a quick tutorial about file handling in Python. Now, this is actually quite a difficult video to make because I'm tempted to go too theoretical, so I'll just keep it super brief. I have my Python files. I've written only a big comment with my golden rules of file handling. The REPL's called Lord of the Files. Nice. Uh, link in the description as usual. I have a names.txt that's one list of names, one name per line. So now we know what's in my folder. I can close this. So in my console, remember the console, you've got everything you want in here, right? This is, you can type Python code, is brilliant. So I'm going to do f equal open. Now, you hopefully already know that open takes two arguments. The path to the file. So in that instance, that names.txt, because it's like right here alongside, I've just reopened that, it lives right alongside my files. But if I had, say, data, I could do, and if name.txt was in data, I could do, it's a full path. I can do data slash, and that's relative to the file that's running. Um, so if you keep your files alongside your code, no problem. I'm going to open this in read mode, right? Um, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a variable called row lines, and I'm going to read the lines. So it's f.readLines, bracket, bracket, takes no argument, and then f close. There's a couple of guiding principles in here, right? Always close what you open, obviously, as few lines as possible in between opening and closing. And then the general pattern is you load, you process, you save. So you're touching the file directly in just a couple of places and as little as possible, and reading and writing everything in one go. And then what you do is you process the data outside of the file in a data structure. So here's my row lines. You can see uh, they have the new line character at the end, right? Because at the end of the Barbara line, there's this new line character. But Yusuf, the last line, doesn't have a new line character, so this one doesn't, right? Which means my file is probably not like super well formatted. So what you're going to want to do then is clean up your row lines and have, say, names. So if I use a list comprehension for this, forgive me, is n.strip. We're going to take n and then strip the white space for all of the n. Actually, it should be L, right? Because it's the line. That's the thing. The moment the line and the names are almost equivalent, for L in row lines, no if, no where, yeah, that should work, right? And now I have names, same list, but stripped of the carriage return character. Now you can manipulate this, right? Sorted names. I'm not touching the file. This is all happening in my variable in memory, and then I could write that back. But let's write it down. Okay, so um, uh, let's assume your file exists, right? We're keeping simple case. F, my file handler, is equal to open. And it tells you, right? An open file, the mode, open text mode, buffer. There's a lot of, yeah, it's got a lot of arguments, but the ones you need to worry about are, the first one should be the path to the file, names.txt. The second one is the mode, so in read mode. And then I have my row lines, which I get from reading lines, plural, right? From F, and then F close. Then I can do, okay, then I can do, let me do it without list comprehension so you can see the equivalent. So I've done L strip for L in row lines. This is equivalent to having names is equal to an empty list for L in row lines, names dot append L strip. Right, let's run this in. So I remind you, the console is not just useful to do things, from scratch, but it's useful because once you've run your file in, what you have in here, I have my row lines. I have tab autocomplete, right? You start typing a couple of keys, you press tab, it guesses what you're after. So I have my names, and as we can see, they have been stripped of the final character. This is much more useful because then I can do for n in names, colon, enter, space, space, print n. Whereas if I do this with for n in row lines, print n, this is going to give me all of the additional line breaks, a new line character, right? So that's why row lines to load the row lines, and then you get your data structure. In that instance, it's a simple one, right? There's only one name per line. What's happening here is that you're trying to go from a flat, so file is just a rope, right? It's just a big string. But in order to turn this into lines, there's a separator, and then those lines map to element of your list, and then you can strip the separator. If you want to write back to a file, same thing, right? Keep it close together, f equal open, names.txt in write mode. So this is going to make it rewrite the file, right? I'm not going to like appending things to the end. It's just read the whole file, write the whole file, and then touch the file as little as possible in well-defined points, and then handle the data in a local, in a copy of the data in memory, in a data structure, in a list in the code as a variable. And now we're going to do f write lines. Now, what's interesting is write lines will not although it takes a list and it understands that every item is this list needs to be written to the file one after the other, it will not add the separators yourself. So you will want to do something like, again, list comprehension, n plus new line, right? For n in names. So that's my list that I'm writing to the thing, and then f dot close. Now, what this is going to do, load it. I've got my name, sorry. And then what I'm just going to, just so we can see there's been a difference, right? Like, so the names are not sorted. And then, so if I do sorted, of course, there's a whole, there's a whole field of programming that's about sorting algorithms, but that's not the topic of this video. I've got one on the bubble sort. You can have a look. If I just do sorted names, it will resort the list in that instance by alphabetical order because it's the most logical one to use. Now, this hasn't changed names. If I want to change names, I need to do names sorted names. See it, say it, sorted. And now I've got those. I'm going to, well, let me do in the console, right? I'm going to open it in write mode. So it's names.txt, w. So this is a file handle. It has methods, but let's not go too crazy about that. Don't worry about it. So we open it, and then we're just going to write lines, n plus a carriage return, new line, for n in names. I love list comprehensions, very Pythonic. Did that work? Let's find out. Close it. And then let's have a look. And look, they're in alphabetical order, and there is a new line at the end of the file. So when this comes back into, if I load it back up, names. Oops, yeah, it's f equal open. And let's just do a and my list of read lines now has a carriage return after each, a new line after each of those. So this is the basic case, right? Like the point I'm trying to make here is that you load, process, save. You only load it all in one go into a data structure. You might want to clean it up before you actually, manipulate it. And then to save, again, you might want to format it a little bit to put the new lines in after you write it, but then you save it in like an almost atomic operation, right? As close as possible. Open, write line. So there's only one line of code that writes to the file. There's only one line of code that reads to the file. Makes things so much simpler. Open, write, close. That's your save, and your load is open, read, close, and then the magic happens in betweens. Now, of course, my name's already sorted, so I can't see it to you running, but I guess I could like shuffle it with random and so on. But anyway, that's the design pattern, right? This is loading from an existing file, then cleaning up. I'm using the general term data structure because this is general, because like it's a list, right? Into a list as it happens. But like next video, I'm going to be talking about records because at the moment we're doing one thing per line and one separator, the separator being the new line character. But then once you want to keep a whole bunch of bits of data together about the same thing, like name, date of birth, score, whatever you're storing, then you'll need another separator inside the line. But that then we straying into record territory, then okay, manipulate, manipulate the structure, do whatever you want with it, and then save to file.